You said it right. These issues are issues that are taken up at the ballot box, not in the ethics complaint process. As someone wrote in and talk about the governor is posed with a future book deal, potentially. I don't know. There's certain things that you can comment on, certain things you can't. I don't know if this is a current ethics complaint. Do you have any comments or any advice with the governor on this book deal?
I know for a fact on the book deal that the Department of Law has already issued a ruling on that.
All right.
And it fully complies with the Executive Branch Ethics Act.
Uh-huh.
The contract and the terms that the governor is going to write her book have a protocol and an organized structure that comply with the Ethics Act. This has already been pre-approved. And what that means is someone, we know that there are people on blogs and websites who have said, well, as soon as she signs that contract, we're going to file an Ethics Act complaint against her.
Right.
Well, they could now. It will be immediately or summarily dismissed, essentially, because everything has been reviewed regarding this.
Right.
There's what's called an advisory opinion process. Then there was an ethics disclosure filed by the governor, and then there is a response to the disclosure and guidance or approval from the Department of Law. That was done. That is in the bank, so to speak, and the governor is basically dotting her I's and crossing her T's and is following the law in every detail here.
But from a political standpoint, we're speaking to Thomas Van Fine. He's the counsel for Governor Sarah Palin, private counsel. But Counselor, this is not really about the law, is it? Once you've said it's about agreements, disagreements, when policy. But the law is really irrelevant. These are about smearing the governor, in my opinion. They don't care whether or not these ethics complaints get approved or not. They just want somebody in the future to say, this is a governor who had 15 ethics complaints filed against her in a matter of 6 months.
I think that's the political strategy behind it. There's probably two elements to that is absolutely correct. Just to say, wow, look how, just so they can run an ad during a political campaign.
Exactly.
Saying he's had lots of ethics complaints. Boy, where there's smoke, there must be fire.
Right.
That kind of an implication, and ignore the fact that they've all been dismissed as lacking.
I can see a full-page ad in the New York Times or the Washington Post if Governor Sarah Palin ever decided to become governor. It says, look at all these ethics complaints. There was a dozen within 6 months. She's not fit to be president.
Exactly, or governor or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And exactly. And that's the political purpose behind it, but that in and of itself, to me, is an unethical use of the Ethics Act, because that is a partisan purpose. And so it's manipulating and abusing the legal system. The problem with it is it's invoking an arm of the government, the personnel board, and they have to gear up, hire lawyers, spend money. They have to have meetings, go over this, look at the allegation, look at the evidence or the lack of evidence, and then have a ruling on this. Essentially, this takes time and money, and it's not free to the people of the state of Alaska. It is adding a burden in the sense that they have to get contracts let and hire private counsel because the Attorney General's office can't handle these as a matter of law. And it's adding up for everybody. And then the governor has to respond to it.
Yeah, she has to hire you to defend her. That's racking up a lot of hours in legal fees. Let's go to Jim on line one. Jim, you're on with Thomas Van Fine, private legal counsel for Governor Sarah Palin.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to him. He's doing a good job for the governor, and I'm an Alaskan that's getting real tired of these complaints getting filed. They're a distraction. I'm assuming that the bills that get submitted by this guy's law firm are to be paid in real money instead of bogus ethical complaints that require payment in monopoly money. I'd like to see some legislation passed that requires these people that are clearly just out to mess around and monkey with the governor to post a bond equal to or greater than what it's going to cost for her and the state to defend itself. And if they happen to lose or one of these gets thrown out, then then they lose their money.
You know, Jim, and help me out, counsel. But that question was asked to the Department of Law, and they came back and said that they were unable. The state of Alaska is unable to do that. Do I have that right, or?
Well, they're unable to do it because it's not in the statute. And if I understand what the caller is suggesting, is that the statute be changed to have somebody post a bond, and if they're filing an abusive or frivolous complaint, that perhaps they end up reimbursing the state, at least partially. And we do that in civil litigation all the time. If you file a civil lawsuit in the state of Alaska and you lose, you end up having a judgment against you for a part of the other side's attorney's fees. And so that's not unprecedented in our state. And I think that's what the caller's getting at. There are other legislative changes that would be worthwhile, and that is, for example, all of these complaints are supposed to be confidential.
Exactly.
And you can tell the political motives behind them when people go forward and release them publicly and send them to the Huffington Post before they even send it to the Attorney General's office.
Excuse me for interrupting, but this is right and wrong. This stuff, none of this crap that these people are filing even passes any kind of a sniff test. I mean, one of these complaints was filed by a fictitious soap opera person.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Jim. I've got to bounce out of here. Hey, Tom, can you hang on with us through this break?